So this laptop right here, I've had it for 5 years. 5 years. And I'm not using it as a backup machine or something I pull out occasionally. This is my daily driver, right now in 2026. I get asked about it all the time. Isn't it slow by now? Aren't you going to upgrade? Does the battery still hold up? So I figured, let me just make the video. 5 years of living with the MacBook Air M1 and everything that's held up, everything that hasn't, and whether I think it's still worth it going into 2026. So let's get into it. So I picked this up back in late 2020 when Apple first dropped the M1 chip. And honestly, at the time, I wasn't even sure about it. It was a brand new architecture. No one really knew how well the app support was going to be, and I was spending over $1,000 on something kind of unproven. But man, from day one, this thing was just fast, like shockingly fast for something so thin and fanless. I remember opening apps and just laughing because it was so snappy. Coming from an older Intel MacBook, it felt like a completely different world. And here's the thing, that feeling hasn't really gone away. Even now, 5 years later, opening apps still feels quick. The day-to-day stuff still works just fine. But obviously 5 years is a long time. Things change, software gets heavier. So let me walk you through where things actually stand today. So let's start with performance, because that's what everyone wants to know. For my everyday use, I'm talking browsing, YouTube, emails, Zoom calls, writing, and lighter creative work. This laptop still handles everything without breaking a sweat. I'm not sitting here waiting for things to load. It doesn't lag. It doesn't freeze. It just works the same way it did when I first got it, which is honestly kind of wild to say about a 5-year-old machine. When I first started to notice the age was when I pushed it harder. Like, I've got a bunch of apps open at the same time, a browser with a ton of tabs, a video lighting app, maybe Spotify running in the background. You can feel it starting to manage things a little more carefully. It's not crashing or anything, it doesn't have the headroom that a newer chip would. I've got the base 8GB RAM model, which in 2020 was totally fine. In 2026, it's the things I'd change if I could. More RAM would have bought this machine even more runway. If you're out here with a 16GB model, you're probably in an even better spot than me. GPU stuff, gaming, 3D work, not really my use case, but I can't speak to that deeply. But if it's something you need, yeah, newer chips moved way ahead in that department. But for what I actually do every day, still way more than capable. Okay, battery life. This is probably the question I get the most. And yeah, after 5 years, the battery isn't what it used to be. That's just chemistry. It's gonna happen to every laptop. I'm getting noticeably less screen time than I did in 2020. It's still usable. I can still get through a good chunk of the day without plugging in, but it's not that forget your charger exists experience from year one. If you're buying a used M1 right now, this is the thing to pay attention to. Battery health varies a lot depending on how the previous owner treated it. Some people are still rocking great battery health at 5 years. Others have units that are pretty degraded. For me personally, it's still functional, just something I'm more aware of than it used to be. I know where my charger is now, and that's the honest truth. The good news is Apple does offer battery replacements. So if you're at a point where it's really affecting your day, that's an option without having to buy a whole new machine. So software support is something I've been keeping an eye on. Apple tends to support Macs for up to 7 to 8 years. The M1 is 5 years old now, which means I'm probably looking at a couple more years of full Mac OS updates. It's actually still pretty decent for a machine at this age. The latest Mac OS update though, I'll be real, it does feel a tiny bit heavier than before. Nothing dramatic, nothing that made me want to throw a laptop out the window. But it's the first time I've genuinely felt that software is starting to outpace the hardware a little bit. Animations feel slightly less buttery. Little things. It's not a deal breaker, but it is a sign that the clock is ticking, and I think it's fair to acknowledge that. Still, for a 5-year-old laptop to still be getting major OS updates and running them reasonably well, that's impressive. Most Windows laptops at this age would be long retired. Okay, so let me just run through what's held up really well and what hasn't, because I think this is actually the most useful part of the video. What's aged great? The build quality is still excellent, the thing still looks and feels premium. No creaks, no wobbles, the hinge is perfect. For a laptop I've used every single day, for 5 years. That's saying something. The keyboard, still love it. One of the best laptop keyboards I've ever used, and that hasn't changed. The display, still sharp, still great colors. Does it have the thinner bezels of newer models? No. Does it matter when you're actually using it? Not really. And yes, the trackpad, still best in class. What's aged less gracefully is the webcam. 720p was already not great in 2020. In 2026, it's kind of embarrassing on video calls. If you're doing a lot of calls, this is probably the most noticeable weak point day to day. The port situation. You've got 2 USB-C ports and that's it. I've got a little dongle situation going on. It's fine, I'm used to it, but it's not ideal. And like I said, the RAM. 8 gigabytes made sense in 2020. In 2026, it's the main thing holding back an otherwise capable machine. So the question everyone always asks me, are you going to upgrade? Honestly, not now. And not because I can't, because I genuinely don't feel like I need to. For what I actually use this laptop for every day, it still gets the job done, and I think that's kind of the story of the M1 in general. Apple Silicon was such a big jump that these machines have just lasted in a way that Intel laptops never did. If I was starting from scratch today and shopping for a laptop, would I buy an M1? At $300, used, from the right person? Probably yeah. For someone who needs more performance or longevity, I'll tell them to stretch to an M2 or an M3. But do I feel like I'm missing out sitting here with my 5-year-old MacBook Air? Not really. It still does what I needed to do, and that's the whole point. Anyways, that's 5 years with the MacBook Air M1. Still kicking, still my daily driver with a few more gray hairs than when we started. If you've got an M1 and you're wondering whether to upgrade, hopefully this gives you a little bit of real-world picture of what to expect. And if you're thinking about picking one up used, same deal. Go in with realistic expectations, and it's a genuinely solid machine. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, it helps more people find it, and let me know in the comments how long you've had yours. I'm genuinely curious. I see people in the comments still rocking machines way older than this, so let me know. And subscribe if you want more. I make videos like this pretty regularly. Alright, catch you in the next one.